Namaste. Welcome to the third in the series of talks on Patanjali Yoga Sutra. As always, we'll start with a recap of the earlier talks. So, to begin with, I had introduced Rishi Patanjali and said that the Rishi felt that yoga, the knowledge of yoga had spread across many texts of the Upanishads and Tantra, and he felt a need to capture its central core and put it in one place. And that was how Patanjali Yoga Sutra came about. Second point is that Patanjali Yoga Sutra is an extremely scientific text. It has very precise definitions, and it says, if you do this, this will happen. So it is not theistic. It is extremely practical and scientific. Then we talked about how Patanjali defined yoga. So most people who define yoga say something to the effect that it is the union of the individual Atman with the universal Brahman. Whatever terminology they use, they say this. According to Patanjali, this is an inaccurate definition because the Atman is Brahman. It is already united. You don't have to unite it. So the only thing is that knowledge is veiled from our minds. And why is that? Because imagine the Atman as the bottom of a lake bed, and on the lake there are a lot of ripples on the lake. So that ripple is hiding the view of the bottom of the lake, right? And what are those ripples? They are vrittis, or they are the consciousness itself is just a pure, clear awareness. And on that clear awareness, things are playing out. Your thoughts, your feelings, your sensory, whatever your senses of information bringing in, they're all playing out on that screen of consciousness. And because it's constantly playing out, these are called vrittis, it's constantly playing out, you cannot see the screen behind what's going on. And so therefore, the definition of yoga is stopping the modifications of the mind, stopping the vrittis. When you stop the mind being modified through all the stimulus which it is getting, when you stop the patterns which are playing on your consciousness, you can see consciousness very clearly as just pure awareness. So that is how he defines yoga. The second thing, after that, on the second talk, we covered what are the modifications in the mind. So Patanjali defines 5 and only 5 categories of modification. The first category of modification is the capacity of the mind to take in right knowledge. You see a rose and your mind says it is a rose. So whatever your mind is saying about the object corresponds with what that object is. So that is right knowledge. The mind has a capacity to take in right knowledge. That's one form of vritti. The second form of vritti is wrong knowledge. You see a rope, but the mind says it's a snake. So it's wrong knowledge, right? The third is non-existent knowledge. You're watching, or imaginary knowledge. You're watching a movie, Lord of the Rings, and you see hobbits. So your mind absolutely in that movie behaves as if Hobbit is a real character, but hobbits don't exist. So it's an imaginary character. So it is a non-existent knowledge. That's the third thing. So there is right knowledge, wrong knowledge, non-existent knowledge, right? The fourth thing, very interestingly, is no knowledge. So the mind also nothing, and nothing is not nothing. Nothing is something. It's actually, you should see it as no thing. So the mind can also perceive no thing, which happens, as I explained the last time, in deep sleep. So the mind has a capacity to take in no knowledge also. And finally, the mind has a capacity to take in past knowledge as if from memory. And all these, right knowledge, wrong knowledge, non-existent knowledge, no knowledge, and past knowledge, create patterns on your consciousness. The mind modifies. These are the vrittis, create vrittis which take away from the pure awareness of consciousness. So today we will talk about how to actually stop vrittis. When you stop the vrittis completely, when the lake surface becomes absolutely still, then you can see consciousness. So that is what we experience in samadhi. But we can, the route to samadhi is to at least reduce these vrittis so that your mind can become more and more concentrated. So the fluctuation of the mind is reduced so that you can sit, you can meditate, you can do dhyan, and slowly you can get into samadhi. So right now I'll share my screen because I'll be discussing 4 shlokas today, and I'll just share those 4 shlokas, then we'll talk about it. All right. So the 4 shlokas which we'll talk about today, the first one says, Abhyas Vairagya Bhayam Tanirodha, which means to restrain the modification of the mind requires persistent practice and non-attachment. We'll talk about this. It is not as simple as you think. There is a lot of depth in it, and we'll talk about it as this evening. The second is Tatra Sthithao Yatno Bhyasha, meaning continuous practice to restrain vrittis will firmly establish abhyas, firmly establish you in yourself. We'll talk about that as well. And when it becomes firmly established with long uninterrupted practice and devotion, then the conscious control for thirst for sensual pleasure stops, and that is non-attachment. So basically what it is saying is it requires abhyas and vairagya. Abhyas is continuous persistent practice. Vairagya is non-attachment. Now we will just go into the interpretation of this. Okay. So we are back. All right. So as those shlokas said, that the 2 methods which Patanjali Yoga recommends is abhyas and vairagya. And abhyasa means continued persistent practice, and vairagya is the mental condition of non-attachment, right? What are we trying to non-attach ourselves with, or what are we trying to detach ourselves from? So this is a thing called raga and dvesha. Raga is the condition where you like objects and things which give you pleasure, while dvesha is the condition where you dislike things which give you pain. So when we are caught in raga and dvesha, when we are caught in our likes and dislikes, then the mind is busy formulating strategies to acquire things that we like and avoid things that we don't like. So it keeps the mind completely in fetters. We are imprisoned by our likes and dislikes. We are not free. Our likes and dislikes kind of drive our lives. And the mind space is cluttered with the thirst for object, craving for what we like, and avoidance of what we don't like. The other way to look at it is that our likes and dislikes gets so deeply embedded in us that it becomes our personality. It is so deeply embedded in our personality, it becomes a habit. And whenever uh, there is a trigger in the environment, this habit plays out, right? So, Abhyasa and Vairagya are the means to break away from the fetters of our likes and dislikes. And so, the thing is that we wrongly associate our habits, our likes and dislikes as our nature. But that is not so. Our true nature, as yoga says, is that pure light of awareness, a pure bliss. That is our true nature. And that has got covered with our habits, with our likes, with our dislikes. So uh, on the spiritual path, we are not fighting our nature. That's a wrong understanding. What we are fighting is our habits. Our nature is pure. We are trying to restore ourselves back to our pure nature. So, of the two, abhyasa or practice comes first. And this practice has got three aspects. The first is Drigakala, which means that what we must practice for a long period of time. So this is something you don't have to think about your yogic sadhana alone. Think of anything. Think of when you were a sports person, when you were young, or your children are sports people. Your son or daughter is practicing classical music or dance. So the practice has to be for a long time. If you have a practice for a short time, it will have no effect, right? The second, so this is called Drigakala. That means the practice must be for a long time. Abhyasa has to have Drigakala, means for a long time. The second is Nairantarya, which means uninterrupted. You can't practice like today and take a 3-day gap and then practice again. So because if you keep gaps, then you'll keep slipping back into your old habits. So it has to be long time and uninterrupted. And third, very important, very important. Third is very important thing is Satkara, which means you must do the practice with reverence, with devotion, with love. So there are two reasons why. So the the long time and uninterrupted is easier to understand from our experience, but Satkara or reverence, devotion, love needs to be understood more deeply. One is that if you love it, then you will get hooked on to the yoga sadhana. It will beckon you every morning, right? Two is that the old habits has a force, and it is only Satkara or the devotion or love which will exert a counter force. Without love or Satkara, if it's just a mechanical practice, then habit will usually win. Okay, so that's the second reason. The third reason is that when you have devotion, there are channels in your psyche, in your mind, which open up and allow divine energy within you, the Purusha within you, the the bliss within you to touch you, to go in. Otherwise, you're blocked. It's only through devotion, when you devote, when you surrender, you open your mind to all those energies coming in and taking you further in your sadhana. And Abhyasa is the one which has got long practice, uninterrupted practice, and practice with devotion. That is what will open the door to Vairagya or non-attachment. Vairagya, again, as I said, Patanjali defines everything very precisely. The Vairagya, again, is of two types, he says. One is what he calls Drishta, which means you have a attachment for something which you have already experienced. So I have experienced the taste of gulab jamun, and therefore I crave for gulab jamun, right? And the second is what he calls Anushravika, which means something which you have heard of. So my friend Rahul Bansal returns from Monaco and says, Atul, Monaco is a lovely place. There's a river seafront, and there are this lovely clubs and restaurants, and there are very pretty people on the streets. You must go there. So then I develop a desire to go to Monaco. I have not experienced it, but I've heard about it, and therefore I want to go. So that is also a creation of desire. So I can have desire for something which I've experienced, and I can have a desire for something which I've heard of, right? Dvesha, on the other hand, is a dislike. So you are repulsed by something which you don't like. And vairagya, or non-attachment, is that state of mind where there is neither craving nor disgust. The complete equipoise between craving and disgust. Two questions arise. One, and this is where vairagya is very easily misunderstood. First question is, does it mean that we deny ourselves pleasures? We just hold ourselves back from pleasures? And the second is yoga prescribing sannyasa or renunciation? So we will tackle both these. First, to understand this deeply, we must understand the nature of desire. Now, the nature of desire is such that once a desire comes up, it sets into motion a set of actions which will not stop till the desire is fulfilled. Remember this. Once a desire comes up, nature is such that you will be compelled to fulfill the desire. There's no other way, right? And this is the dilemma of human character. This is really the dilemma of human character. Cognitively, that certain things that you do are not good for you, are counterproductive. They're not good for your health. They're not good for your relationships. They're not good for your life. And yet you cannot stop, because there's a compelling force in the desire. So it will lead you to misery. Sometimes you will know that I'm heading towards misery, I'm heading down the road to perdition, but you cannot stop yourself. So this is a real dilemma of human character. And that is where, our Shastric knowledge comes into play. It explains these things so that you can understand it, you can practice it, and you can get around these problems. So as I said, once a desire comes, it sets into motion action, which will not stop till the desire is complete. So does this mean that you suppress the desire? You deny yourself? Well, we all know from our experience that if you repress a desire, it will explode like a volcano at some point in time. So this repression, suppression, it does not work. And then, in your mind, you're always fighting with that desire. Anybody like myself, I've given up smoking 20 years ago, but in your mind, you're always fighting. I want to smoke, I should not smoke. I want to smoke, I should not smoke, right? That constant mind is fighting, and mind is a very delicate instrument. If you do too much of this fight with the mind, usually the mind will win, or you will create some kind of psychosis for yourself. So what is the solution? Again, this is the beauty of our Shastras. The solution is we need to understand why desire arises in the first place. So, constantly, when we read Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we know that our true nature is pure consciousness. Our true nature is the bed of the lake. Our true nature is a white screen of the cinema. And it's pure awareness, it's clear light of awareness. It is unadulterated bliss. They say Brahman, Vedanta says Brahman is Sat Chit Ananda. It is existence, it is awareness, and it is bliss. It is absolute high wattage bliss. So bliss is inside us. It's inside, it's the nature of our Atman, is bliss. Bliss is inside us. But then why don't we feel blissful? Because that bliss is blocked by the vrittis, what we talked about, the modification of the mind, the patterns of the consciousness is blocking. We are blocked, we are cut off from our inner source of bliss. So when you're cut off from your inner source of bliss, what happens? You're unhappy. When you're unhappy, what happens? You look for happiness outside. So you look for happiness in objects. You want to buy the bigger car, a bigger house. You want to eat that ice cream every day. Or you look for happiness from other people, from a lover, a child, a husband, a wife. You look for happiness from outside. It is wrong to think that the other person or the bigger car or the bigger house is giving you happiness. And again, I will explain this very precisely. It's not just a general motivational statement which I'm making. What happens, say, I'll take a very mundane example. You like gulab jamun. You eat gulab jamun, that nice, syrupy, chunky gulab jamun falls on your tongue. In that moment, all your past conditioning vanishes, all your future thoughts vanish, and you are absolutely in the present moment with nothing corrupting it, not your past conditioning, nothing corrupting it, not your future anxieties, nothing is corrupting it. You are in that present moment. And when you are in that present moment, which is exactly what samadhi is, when you are in the present moment, the channel for the inner bliss opens. So momentarily, you experience the bliss which is within you. The gulab jamun has got no bliss. The gulab jamun is just a trigger. You just remember the time when you fell in love. Everything stops. You're in that present moment with your lover. And in that moment, the channel for inner bliss, the floodgate opens and boom, the bliss comes from inside. The lover has got nothing to do with it. All your bliss is within, right? So in this context, understand Vairagya. Vairagya opens the door to your inner bliss. And when you do abhyasa, what happens is that your dependence on outside objects, your dependence on other people starts reducing, because with abhyasa, you are increasing your quotient of sattva guna, and you're allowing more inner bliss, more inner contentment to surround you. So your need to get happiness from outside reduces. So the inner flow increases because of that, and the outer desires get sublimated. So you're not suppressing desires, you're not repressing desires, you're just sublimating desires. So you reach a stage where if you get the ice cream, I'll enjoy it. If I don't get it, I'm still happy. So does this mean that we give up the good things in life? No. What you're giving up is your craving and disgust. That is the problem. The object is not, the gulab jamun is not the problem. Your lover is not the problem. Your husband is not the problem. Wife is not the problem. Children are not the problem. It is the the inner conversation which holds you to them, attaches you to them, that is the problem. So by all means enjoy objects, but without craving. Mila to theek hai, nahi mila to bhi theek hai. All right. So this is the real meaning of vairagya. Now coming to sannyasa, there are some sampradayas in India, like Jainism today is one of them, which promotes asceticism. They promote, they said, tyag do, don't even wear clothes, eat very little. All right. And the Buddha, for the first 6 years of his sadhana, he was apparently with Jain monks. And he really starved himself. There's a statue of him in a museum in Lahore, which shows him completely like skin and bones on his ribs. He was eating just 1 grain of rice a day. And that is where the Buddha got the idea of the middle path. That was where he got it. He says, neither should you torture your body, nor you should overindulge your body. Follow the middle path. And then he took that idea of middle path to more subtler, higher levels. But that's where he got the idea. So yoga as a sampradaya does not favor asceticism. It does not favor even fasting. So yoga says your body is the vehicle to achieve kaivalya, what we understand as moksha. And if you don't use it to achieve moksha, then the whole purpose of taking this birth and carrying this body is meaningless. What's the point of this pain of carrying this body and falling sick and everything, and you don't even use it for the purpose it is meant for. The purpose the body is meant for you to use it to attain moksha. So yoga does not encourage sannyasa. It does not discourage family life. It does not discourage conjugal relationships. So, and you can be a productive member of society and practice sadhana. So yoga does not promote sadhana. So just remember from this discussion that vairagya is a process of the mind. It's got nothing to do with objects or people outside of you. It's got nothing to do with your lifestyle. It's a process in your mind whereby you sublimate your cravings and your disgust. You develop equipoise between cravings and disgust, and you do it slowly. So that is why the practice has to be long, it has to be uninterrupted, and it has to be with love and devotion. With the love and devotion, you can exert a counter force to the habits, which is trying to pull you back. Why are you taking away these pleasures from you? Trying to pull you back. It's only the love and devotion which will push it back. So another thing to understand about vairagya is that there's a lower vairagya and there's a higher vairagya. What is called apara vairagya and para vairagya. So in all our shastra, the word apara means belonging to the world or lower, and para means higher or transcendent. So apara vairagya is when your desire for objects and things have gone, but the underlying deep-rooted taste has not gone. It's still there. So it's a very good progress, but there's a possibility that you can slip back. Paravairagya is samadhi. So when you are in samadhi, you have tasted, you have become that inner bliss, you have become that inner clear light of awareness. So in that, even the deep-rooted taste for worldly enjoyment is finished. You have seen the ultimate. So there is this the worldly enjoyment sounds like small change. You have got the billions in that. So once you reach there, that is paravairagya. That means there's no chance of coming back. You will never crave for worldly pleasures. So that is paravairagya. And I'm going to end with a story from the Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad, very nice Upanishad. So in that Upanishad, there is a person called Gautama, and he's got a very young son. The young son is a teenager. His name is Nachiketa. And Gautama is a very rich zamindar, and he is doing a yagna where he's calling all the poor people and giving away things. So as per the rules of the yagna, you are supposed to give away things which you like. But what he is doing is that he's giving away his old cows and cattle. So Nachiketa taunts his father, and the father gets angry and consigns him to Yama. To go to Yama. So Nachiketa, being an obedient son, he goes to Yama. And when he reaches Yama's abode, Yama has gone somewhere, so he has to wait. So he waits for 3 days. And when Yama comes back, he's very apologetic that, young boy, you have to wait for 3 days. So you can ask me for 3 boons. So Nachiketa says, the first boon which I want to ask you is that my father his anger should go away and he should not be angry with me. So Yama says, very well, yeah, granted, this boon is granted. Then he says, the second boon, he says, is, I fulfill my desire for Swarga, for heaven. So then Yama gives him a lesson on, all this Homa Yagnas, with which you reach heaven. All right. So that also is granted. Then he says, now ask for the third boon. So Nachiketa says, some say that after death, man exists. That is, there is life after death. And some say that he does not. This is what I want you to teach me, he tells Yama. So Yama is sweating, he's confounded. He says, you have asked me the most difficult question. Even the gods don't know. How can a young boy like you want to know this? He says, ask for anything you want. Ask for cattle, ask for elephants, ask for horses, ask for innumerable wealth, ask for fair damsels, ask for large kingdoms, I'll give you all. And Nachiketa says, what's the point of all this? What's the point of all this? These are all transient. And you think I'm a fool that I'll come to Yama, Lord Yama, and ask for all this? You keep the song and dance for yourself. I want to know about Atma. Now, that is my third request, and please grant me that. Anyway, the rest of the Katho Upanishad is about Yama teaching Nachiketa about Atma. So so you see in our Shastras, they give you the logic and then they support it with very nice stories like this one. So what do you do with this knowledge in your everyday life, right? So the Buddha said that, suffering is because everything in life is impermanent. And we want it to be permanent. We want to remain young forever. We want to have all that vigor and health and energy all our lives. We want our relationships not to change. But things change. And Vairagya compels you to think about this. What are you seeking from the world? Is it worthwhile? Is that happiness which you get, so transitory happiness, is it worthwhile? Is there something more? So the Vairagya will compel you to think. It will change the way you consume things. Today, for most of us, we don't consume things. Things consume us. I have a nice house, big house. I want a bigger house. Things consume us. We don't consume things. But Vairagya will teach you to be in control of your own consumption and not let the consumption control you. Same is true for your relationships. You don't love your husband or wife or children because they are yours. Imagine if you loved them because they're Atma. Imagine if you loved them because there's God inside them. What will, how dramatically the quality of love will change. After all, to your children, you have given janam. You haven't given them karam. They have come with their own karam. You have just given them janam. Their karam has to play out. They have to do whatever they have to do with their karam. So all these highfalutin concepts, abhyas, vairagya, which in yoga is meant to take you towards samadhi, even in everyday life, there is a use for it. It will compel you to think and compel you to free yourself, compel you to see that how things of the world has become fetters, has jailed you, and slowly it will free you from all that. Thank you. Questions?
Bhaiya, do you wish me to now open the
mute? Yeah. Open the mute and give it like remove the spotlight.
Spotlight, okay.
Remove spotlight and open the.
1 second. But then I can only remove if you can request all the attendees to switch on their video.
Switch on your, okay. Everybody switch on your videos, please.
And the person who have not switched on is your friend, Mr. Chandrasekhar.
Chandru.
Poonam Illori and Shivani will not. So forget.
I have Chandrasekhar here. I switched on the video.
Great.
Yeah, now I can take it off from the spotlight as advised by.
So yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we can have an interactive session.
Chal.
Dr. Sinha.
Boliye, sir.
Don't you think this vairagya just slip in by the growing age? Once somebody reaches this age, the vairagya, I think, by itself slipping in.
Yes, of course.
Maybe it is attached with the attachment of the money. When the money starts reducing in the old age, then I think automatically people start going towards vairagya. Is it?
No, there are lots of things. When you grow old, you get diabetes, so you go off gulab jamun. So all that happens, of course. But what the Shastra is doing is giving you a technology, is giving you knowledge. So if you can imagine what you are doing at vairagya at say our old age, if you were to do it when you were 25 and 30, what would happen to your life?
True.
What would happen to your life?
To maintain a good, healthy life.
Exactly. But it's not that. I mean, the Shastras is never saying deny yourselves, never saying give up something. It's all about sublimation. It's all about sublimation by realizing that the whole prakriti, the whole nature, everything in the world is kind of trapping you. And the reason is trapping you is also there for a reason. Because unless you understand it's a trap, you will not progress towards your true nature.
Correct. But then again, knowledge is also the problem. When the young age, when people have no knowledge, so they indulge in everything.
Absolutely. So it's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with indulging in everything. That's okay.
Yeah.
But at some point, now I'm seeing more and more younger people are, because they're growing up faster. The kids today, they're growing up much faster, and they are getting, what struck us. I mean, is there more to it than a 9-to-5 job and all that stuff? Hit us, our generation, much later. These kids are hitting it earlier, so they are getting more
information.
They are more contemplative. They're trying to understand things faster.
Analyzing things, right.
That's the consciousness of the times.
Okay.
So अभी जो समय ऐसा है जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं युग चलता है, तो अभी एक ऐसा समय है कि the consciousness is of a certain nature
Yeah,
where
yeah,
people are realizing these things faster.
yeah, yeah. At some stage, and anybody else wants to ask anything, please.
Yeah.
No, Ashok Bhaiya, in fact, you should provoke, inspire that the names that you're seeing on your screen, you can call one by one everybody.
Yeah, ma'am, Jyoti Kalpa ma'am would like to ask anything, please. How did you like it?
Yeah, it's interesting, but I wouldn't say that it is just age, related. वो तो हो रहा है ना, you're anyway you can't, आप कर ही नहीं पा रहे हो पैसा, but when you have it and then you still say no, that this is not, there is something more beyond this, then I feel it's more true, क्योंकि कल वो अगर आ जाएगी, आपका पैसे आ जाएं, आपको लॉटरी मिल गई, then will you still have that detachment, or will you say
Good,
no?
good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Also, people say हमने तो त्याग दिया है. अरे त्याग देने के लिए पहले होना चाहिए, तब तो त्याग दोगे.
Correct, yeah.
पहले तो होना चाहिए.
I think Ashok Bhaiya,
Hanji.
you will find, because amongst us we have a Guruji,
Hanji.
जो background wise Atul Bhaiya के senior हैं,
Hanji.
SRCC से, and he is by himself a great personality, full of experience, and look at the smile he is giving. Like, okay, fair enough. Let my chance come, and then I will let you guys know what I am made of. So we will come to him in the last and before Atul Bhaiya. But I think last time, unfortunately, we could see Chandrasekhar.
Yes, yeah.
Last time around, he could only join just about the time when we were finishing the talk. So I think he is the person who you should just encourage that. Please go ahead.
So you want me to speak? Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. Atul, the question I have for you is, you mentioned about Kaivalya, right? The definition of Kaivalya, according to some, is experiencing your own Atma. And there are some people who strive towards enjoying their own Atma or the soul, right? And so there is definitely a distinction between Kaivalya, how you described it, and moksha, which is supposed to be beyond that. Even in Gita, apparently, there is a mention that Kaivalya is a lower goal to attain, to aspire for. And moksha is something even above that. So what is your take on this? That is Kaivalya is Atma Sakshataram or equivalent, is what they say.
Kaivalya is Atma Satkara, and usme actually in some samadhi there are these two types, na? There's nirvikalpa and savikalpa. So I think what you are referring to is nirvikalpa, because even the trace of ego is not there, where you extinguish into Brahman. There's no trace of Chandrasekhar. There's no identity.
Yeah.
So it's a difference between I am that and Aham Brahmasmi. That's the difference. When I am that, meaning I is also there and that is also there. You are seeing that, but that trace of ego, your ahamkar, is there, which is called savikalpa. And nirvikalpa means wo bhi nahi.
We have Poonam Behna, who is so excited. I mean, I think he has got some atom bomb questions lined up for you, Atul Bhaiya. Please, Poonam Behna, go ahead.
Just before that, Chandru, from the next session, we will go into Samadhi.
Very good, very good. Sorry, quickly before the other person is called, I have one more question. These 4 slokas you mentioned, can you just repeat them? I would like to note the Sanskrit versions of them.
Okay. I'll just share my screen again. Then you can.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because I would like to look at the Sanskrit part of it.
Okay, just a minute.
Is it okay for everyone? I mean, to have
Sure. The good repetition for us also.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
In fact,
Yeah.
In fact, if
Okay.
everybody can possibly do, the moment you're seeing the screen, take a screenshot, or I'm taking a screenshot
Oh, that's a good
and
idea.
I will
Yeah,
share
right,
it.
right.
Or it
Yeah.
is
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a
12,
good idea, sir. I think, yeah, that's a good idea.
it's 12, 13, 14, 15 of the first chapter.
Oh, 13?
12, 13, 14, 15 of the first chapter.
Okay, okay.
So all excited, all eyes, please hold your heart. Now we have Poonam
Okay.
Behna to come and shoot.
So
Bhaiya, be prepared.
I'm
Bhaiya,
stopping.
be prepared.
Ah,
Bhaiya, she has already had a dinner.
no, Poonam asked very difficult questions. I know that. Chalo. No, she's on mute. She's muted.
She raised hand.
Poonam Behna, you are on mute. Please unmute yourself.
She also frozen. Unmute. Poonam, unmute.
Unmute and video.
Okay. I
Because
was
otherwise,
trying to figure
Oh,
out
something is wrong.
any bandwidth problem.
Bandwidth problem.
mute. I
You
mean, that was more difficult.
you log out and log in. Your bandwidth. Now, fine.
Now it's fine. Now
Go.
it's fine.
It's
Go ahead.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I just wanted to remark on, I don't think age has anything to do with it. I see a lot of people in their, 70s, 80s who are really obsessed with food. And I mean, one meal finishes there. So that thing does not go away unless you worked on it. It doesn't have anything to do with age. I mean, it's like maybe, you've left your business, you've moved at a certain pace in your life, but I don't think that all those desires go away because of age unless we have
Abhyasa.
Yeah, we've done the abhyas, exactly. And that's why, I mean, we had the 4 different stages in life. I mean, after Grihastha, we were supposed to do Vanaprastha, and we were supposed to then go into sannyas. Sannyas doesn't mean, I think, general sannyas. It means basically detaching yourself to all the things that are happening in life. Vanaprastha doesn't mean going off into the forest. Maybe it means a little bit more of vairagya, more of contemplation, more of things like that. So, I mean, okay, maybe, a few centuries back or more than a few centuries back, we were doing things in that way. I think it's still possible to do it now. And if this thing doesn't start happening, I mean, that's why you find it's also like almost a karmic thing. There are a lot of young kids now who just get it. I mean, some things my kids say, no, why do we need to buy more? You already have one of that or whatever. So they are picking up on something. I mean, so this is digressing a little bit, but I think karma is also, I mean, it's personal karma, but it's also the karma of your family, of your society. We are picking up on things, on those kind of things also. And I think kids are very much more cued on than I ever was, or than my generation ever was, and especially in terms of materialism and nature and things like that. So, yeah, and sometimes I find a lot of, that's why I think Patanjali starts with Samadhi path. It's like, it can't be touched. Then you go into the methods.
Absolutely. He's absolutely
It's only
logical.
the experience. I mean, we can talk, till the end, but it doesn't mean anything if we didn't even glimpse that. And it's really interesting that he starts with the end first. And then in the last chapter, he also says Kaivalya is just actually the start of everything. It's actually one of the most base, not base, but it's not the end. It makes you feel that the Yoga Sutras were never really finished, actually. He leaves you till, okay, you reach here at least, and then we'll take you further. I got that feeling.
Actually, see the logic. He defines yoga, says that the reason your mind is not quiet is because there are vrittis. Then he says What are the kind of vrittis? How do you stop them?
Mm.
And when you stop vrittis, so far negative. How to stop vrittis? It's something negative, applying a negative force to stop another force, right? And then he goes into samadhi. So when you stop vrittis, what happens? You get into samadhi. And what is samadhi? Chandrasekhar preempted it. In the next talk onwards, we will talk about samadhi. Samadhi has got many, many stages. It's not just one thing like that. So we'll talk about that. So samadhi also baal ka khal nikal diya Patanjali.
Okay, Poonam Bana, Bhaiya is biased because she belongs to Jamshedpur. I don't know whether you people have interacted. Jyoti Kalappa. Yes, Jyoti.
Yes. I had the same, I shared the same thought as Poonam did. It's not, you have to really apply yourself to it. It's really not related to age. I mean, it's not natural that if, just because as you advance in years, it will come. Some people still are very attached to, not just the material, but even if you look at, the power that they have, they refuse to let go of it. They're still very controlling. I think you have to, unless you actually apply yourself to it, what comes naturally is not, I think, the way forward, because you're left with no choice, right? Then it's being done for you.
True.
Atul Bhaiya,
Yeah.
any expert comment?
No, it's fine. It's a very good discussion going on.
Okay.
Can I add to that, Atul? Can I
Yeah.
add to-
One second, Chandrasekhar. Anna will come
Sorry
to
to-
you. Let
Okay.
me just chip in with a leg pulling statement. Jyoti, because you are from Jamshedpur, just look at it. Look at Atul Bhaiya. He just gave a packed up and he said, no, fine. Whatever she has spoken is absolutely perfect.
Last word. No,
He's so biased. He's so biased. Okay, very nice, very sweet. Very nice, very sweet. Yes, Chandrasekhar Anna, please go ahead.
Yeah. In the context of what Madam Poonam has been talking about, Atul, don't you think even this nivritti and all that is happening because of our so-called prarabdha karma?
Of course.
We Hindus all believe in multiple janmas, and according to the papa and punya that we gather, and sanchita karma is supposed to be that part of the package which we exhaust in a particular birth.
Correct.
So agami karma plus sanchita karma together, they form the larger prarabdha, which we exhaust.
Yeah.
And then according to Krishna again, if you are only kind of destined in your particular birth, you eventually reach that kind of a stage when you get into this kind of a spiritual kind of a mode. Now, so one is our own swatantra buddhi, what we exist in, what we can exercise. Other than this, what we have supposed to exhaust or undergo or experience in your particular birth.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank
And there is
you.
one sloka.
I think.
Sorry.
Yeah. Please. No interference. No interference.
No, so
If
only
you
thing
have
is,
something-
I'm reminded of a sloka by Sankaracharya, Adi Sankaracharya, in Sivananda Lahiri, where he prays to Lord Shiva, requests him, you have given me Swatantra Buddhi, but stay in my heart and even control the Swatantra Buddhi that I always am devoted to you.
Wow. This is devotion. This is, Satkara. Absolutely.
You know what,
Beautiful.
Chandrasekhar Anna, just now what you exactly said is the kind of a feeling and conduct I have for Atul Bhaiya.
Okay, very good.
And he'll tell you on your face, do I do it? भैया पटा दिए अब ज्यादा अभी इतना पब्लिक के सामने में बोल दिए हैं तो अब कुछ अच्छा okay, so let's move on, and now we have the most powerful speaker of the day or the engager of the day. फिर आपका अपने आप चेंज हो गया है। आपने क्या बोला था? राहुल,
बंसल।
राहुल भैया, you just ragging session on. अतुल भैया की रैगिंग कर दीजिए तो जरा। you're muted. भैया
Mute.
you're muted. राहुल भैया you're muted. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
अतुल जी ने बहुत अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन दिया है। वैराग्य, हमारे को ना हर चीज में वैराग्य प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ेगा। जैसे हम अभ्यास करते हैं तो भी हमें उसके रिजल्ट्स की ओर ज्यादा ध्यान नहीं देना चाहिए। योगा का अभ्यास कई लोग करते हैं अभ्यास और फिर कहते हैं अभी मैं सामने बेंड नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ, मैं अपने हाथ जमीन तक नहीं पहुंचा पा रहा हूँ। वो दूसरों को देखते हैं ग्रुप क्लासेस में। वो अभ्यास ऑफ योगा वो भी बिल्कुल डिटैचमेंट के साथ होना चाहिए, विदाउट डेवलपिंग अ कॉम्पिटिटिव एक्सपेक्टेशन। वो भी डिटैच होके करना चाहिए, तब शरीर के जो है शरीर खुलेगा उसमें। मैंने नोटिस किया है अपने टीचिंग में कि लोग बहुत ज्यादा एक दूसरे को देखते हैं,
कॉम्पिटिटिव।
वो एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि वो तो क्लास में 15 दिन से हैं पर उनकी बॉडी देखिए, मेरा हाथ ही नहीं पहुंचता। तो उनको समझाना पड़ता है कि अब आप वैराग्य नहीं प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं। किसी किसी के बॉडी प्रोपोर्शंस ऐसे होते हैं, जैसे आपके हाथ जो हैं दे आर मतलब ज्यादा लंबे हैं आपके शरीर के हिसाब से, तो आपको वो टच करना बहुत इजी हो जाएगा। तो उसमें भी जो कहना चाहिए, आप कॉम्पिटिटिव स्पिरिट है या ईगो बोलिए या जो भी बोलिए, अभ्यास जो योगा का होता है उसमें रिजल्ट्स की ओर ज्यादा ध्यान नहीं देना चाहिए। आप अपनी प्रैक्टिस पे ध्यान दीजिए, दूसरों की ओर मत देखिए। दैट इज व्हाट आई लाइक टू ऐड।
वेरी नाइस।
हमें वो बड़ा अच्छा लगा इनका पॉइंट ने जो बताया था। हेलो, लव एंड डिवोशन, इफ यू डू समथिंग विद लव एंड डिवोशन तो देन यू कम मोर नियरर टू इट। अगर वही मिसिंग है तो फिर
नहीं अशोक भैया वो अतुल भैया एक्चुअली थोड़ी कंजूसी कर देते हैं। अदरवाइज उनको उस जगह पे बोलना चाहिए था दैट देखो अभी जो हम समझाना चाह रहे राजीव आनंद, तो he would have given that symbolic message, love and devotion अगर सीखना है तो राजीव से सीखो। But वहां पे he became a miser, he did not. Okay, so I think have we covered everybody or anyone left?
मुकुल जी।
Oh wow, बेचारे, he was the first person who had logged in, and that too he logged in at around 6:45, and वो तो इतने जबरदस्त लॉगिन किए थे कि वो होस्ट फीचर भी ले गए।
वेरी गुड।
हाँ मुकुल भैया unmute
and you have to switch on your video. Mukul bhaiya, your video, audio both are muted.
Fact.
No, he is still muted. His video is now unmuted, but his audio is muted.
ऑडियो अनम्यूट कीजिए। हाँ अब अनम्यूट।
ठीक है,
बोलिए भैया।
जो माइंड ओपनिंग वैसे जो है मेरा तो बहुत ये एक्सपीरियंस जो है कि एकदम फ्रेश एक्सपीरियंस हो रहा है। एंड आई वुड लाइक टू लव यू सी व्हाट यू पीपल आर सेइंग, मेकिंग एनी कमेंट्स, तो वो सब करने के लिए भी तो हमको थोड़ा चाहिए, बट हम इसको रिलीज कर रहे हैं। अच्छा लग रहा है। द वे बाय अतुल इट्स रियली वेरी लेवेबल।
मुकुल भैया,
बट इस पे अभी कोई
मुकुल भैया, आपको इस बात को जानकर खुशी मिलेगी कि all these
जी
sessions that we have, we record and we upload on YouTube. And I can understand where you're coming from, in the sense कि ये भैया का level is too high. मतलब only people who have that high level of understanding can actually understand. So I can relate with you when you said, अच्छा मैं सुन रहा हूँ आप लोग क्या बातें कर रहे हैं. Then later on I'll grasp. But all the people who are attending over here today, and I think we have all those capable teachers who will come up in their own way. आप सुने ही होंगे, be it Poonam Baina, everybody,
देख रहे
and
हैं
you will enjoy. And we wish that you also will be inspired and you also will eventually become a teacher. So
नहीं,
we
अच्छा लग
just
रहा है
have
सेशन
crossed.
के
We just have
लिए
crossed our
to
one
to
hour
let
limit.
myself participate. हाँ
नहीं, you will enjoy. आपको YouTube अतुल भैया को share कर दिया जाएगा. He will then pass it on to everybody. Now we curtain raiser. अशोक भैया,
it will be
आपकी
better
अपनी
YouTube पे
हाँ वो होता है. Every session is uploaded on YouTube and then it is shared. Don't worry about that. Ashok Bhaiya,
So
your
nice.
formality, please.
So, dear audience, this was the Patanjali Yoga Sutra Part 3, and how to stop disturbance of mind. And it was very interesting and very full of knowledge. Dr. Atul Sinha has given. He was in his high element as usual, and we thank him on behalf of the Xena family. Xena Kaleidoscope Indian Culture Heritage Stories. And we will meet again in the next episode. It is part 4, yeah?
Part 4 next.
Part 4, and that will be on
next to next Thursday.
Okay. And until then, we meet again. Thanks everybody for joining us.
You.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Thanks.
Thank you. Namaskara.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ji.
Thank you.